Good morning. So, today I want to talk about discovering your next or your first book topic. I've had a lot of people asking me about this lately. What's my book topic? How do I figure this out? I have so many ideas in my head. So, I want to do a live video today where we talk about this because it's, kind of the most important thing you can be doing when you are first looking at writing a book. And I'm going to pull this up on my phone so I can actually see if anybody is asking questions. This might be a second here. Okay, so I'm going to start out by teaching you the 3 A's of selecting your book topic. So there's 3 A's. It has nothing to do with AAA or going on a road trip. So I want you to know that up front because you can go on a road trip. You're absolutely welcome to book a cabin for the weekend or run away to the mountains or the beach or whatever it is that you need to do. But it can be super simple picking your book topic. And I don't just mean pulling something out of the air either. This isn't one of those where you're just like, all right, I'm just going to work with this and see what happens. This is actual pinpointy stuff that you can narrow in on the topic without worrying about, okay, did I pick the wrong thing? Did I not pick the right thing? Is this something that is actually going to work for me and my business? Am I going to end up writing myself into a wall? None of that stuff is going to happen. So let's work with the 3 A's. And if you do join me, drop a comment below. Let me know you're watching. Say hi. Ask questions during the video because this is your time to ask me questions live. So the first A is audience. And I know I talk about this a lot, but it's because it's so super important. Who's your audience? If you already have a business, if you're already a speaker, a coach, if you've been doing workshops, whatever it is that you're doing, getting some sort of thing here. Okay, I have no idea how to fix that. So hopefully you can see me. So if you have something established already, you want to look at the audience that you're already working with for that. So I'm just going to use the example of business coaches because I do talk to a lot of business coaches. If you are working with people who are just starting out in business, then that should be what you want to do for your book. That should be your audience. However, if you're talking to those people now and you want to move on to people who have maybe progressed to 10K months, for example, then that's what you want to start working with because you don't want your book to be reaching to this past audience. You want to make sure that it's at least current or moving forward. That's because you want to be able to use your book in your business for a long time. You don't want to write something that takes 6 months, you put it out, and then you go, oh yeah, that isn't even relevant anymore. I don't talk about it. You've sunk all that time and money into this project that could really be working for you, reaching your audience, telling them what magic you're doing, and here it is just kind of a waste of time. So make sure that you are reaching that audience. Let's say that you are a health coach. Think about the type of people who are already reaching out to you. If you seem to be attracting the same kind of people over and over, maybe you have, I'm just going to use this as an example. If you're a health coach and you seem to have a lot of moms who are like, hey, trying to lose the baby weight, want to get healthy again, and get into a swimsuit this summer. If that's kind of the goal set that you're looking at, then that's going to be an audience that you look at for your book. If that's people you don't want to attract, though, that's not what you want to do. And you want to look at some of the other pieces of your business, your marketing, whatever it is that is bringing those people in, and figure out why you're talking to them instead of the people you want to actually bring in. I'm not a business coach. That's not for me to get into, but when you are looking at your book, you want to make sure that it is speaking to the audience that you want to draw into your business because your book is actually working with the business. The book and the brand go together. And if you're talking to the wrong audience, then you're not going to be doing anything for your business. So I use this one a lot. If you've overcome some grief or a trauma or an illness or something, and you want to write about that, that's awesome. But you have to consider that that's a separate book if that's not what you're talking about in your business. So let's say you're talking about overcoming grief. Maybe you lost your parents and you want to talk about that. You lost your parents when you were young and how that's helped you build your business. If you can weave it into the business thing, talking about maybe mindset and weaving it into the business, then that's the direction you want to go with it. You don't just want to talk about that and how to overcome grief and not marry that to what you're doing in your business, unless you want two separate businesses. Okay? I'm going to repeat that. You want to make sure that your book isn't a separate business, that it weaves in with your business, unless you want two separate businesses, which is fine. Some people want that. Some people want their book and maybe speaking gigs, and they want to do website design or whatever. If those are two pieces that aren't going to weave together and you want them separate, awesome. But the most active way of getting things to work together is to bring in a book that actually works for your business and have them speak to the same audience. So, first A was audience. Always look at that first. The second A that I want to look at is your arsenal. What's an arsenal? That's the stuff that you already have in your backpack. Those are things that you're already carrying around with you. Talks that you like to give, articles that you've written. What are some of these topics that you talk about, that you're asked to talk about a lot? Look at what your audience has been asking you. Those can be keys to unlocking what your book should be about. Because if you're already getting these questions, you're attracting that audience. Okay, so that makes sense for the first A. And if you are really good about talking about these things, let's use the example of the business coach. If you're really good at speaking to that audience about the new business that they're starting, then you probably have a lot of that stuff in your arsenal. You have videos, you have speeches, whatever it is. So start looking at those and get inspired by what you've already done. And I don't mean that you have to take that and throw it all at your book. Okay, when I wrote the Spark Method back in pre-COVID times, a million years ago, when I wrote that, I went back and looked at my blog. What are the things that I like talking about? What are the things that I've been talking about? What is my audience asking me? And I went through all my blog posts and I pulled stuff out that I thought would work well for the book. However, I didn't use my entire blog, because it's really not okay to just copy your blog and paste it into a book because it's available online. That's not really okay. So I pulled ideas from there. I updated all of my information. I made connector pieces. I put other things in there, but I was inspired by what I had already done. And I went through and kind of got a feel for what lit me up. What is it that I really enjoy talking about? Okay, I can pull in all of these pieces for working on a book because that's what I get asked all the time. That's the stuff that I enjoy talking about. That's the stuff that makes sense for my audience and with the arsenal that I already have. And you can also use some of that material. You can pull your quotes, pull in things that, if you've said something really brilliant when you're on a Facebook Live like this, maybe something just dropped into your head and you just, spilled it out. I was talking on a Facebook Live recently where I was talking about the circle of attraction, and that phrase just dropped into my head all of a sudden. And I realized it when I said it. I was like, ooh, circle of attraction. That's pretty cool. If I decided to do another book talking about writing a book, I would probably use that term in there. I would pull from my arsenal and use, the description of that circle of attraction, because that makes sense for my audience and it makes sense with the stuff that I'm already saying. Plus, you can always go through and say, hey, if you're writing your book, you can say, if you want to know more about this, then you can go watch this video. You can link up the video. If you want to learn more about this, send me an email and I'll give you, this private video. There are so many ways to link your stuff with your book to get that audience more engaged and get them to know, like, and trust you even more. And part of that is stuff you've already got. So make use of your arsenal. Okay, so second A was arsenal. And I'm going to move on to the third A. I'm not seeing any questions yet. I see people are watching, so hello. Um, the third A is aspiration. What is it that you aspire to do with that book? What is the end game? What are your goals? Whatever word you want to use. You don't have to use your aspiration. That just worked because I went 3 A's. What is it that you want to do with that book? How do you want people to feed into working with you, to joining your programs, your Facebook group, whatever it is? What is the big goal at the end? Because remember, you don't ever do anything for your business without having a goal for that. You don't make a website just because somebody told you to make a website. You have a website so people can see that you have an online presence. People see that, hey, you are a real business. You have a blog. You have ways to connect with you. You have a place that people can contact you if they're interested in working with you. You have a reason for that website. It's the same with your book. You don't have a book because you need to check the list. Somebody doesn't hand you a list of stuff when you're starting a business and say, okay, these are the things you need to do, and then just totally forget about them. If someone says, hey, why don't you write a book? Or if your head or your heart or the universe or whatever it is says, hey, you need to write a book, then there has to be a reason to weave it into your business. It's that know, like, and trust factor. But once people know, like, and trust you, you need to kind of walk them through. I've worked with a lot of coaches, mentors, a lot of people in my world who talk about getting people closer to the hole, like if you're on a golf course. So that book works that way too. If you want to use a magnet as an example, I was thinking about magnets and the attraction between them. If you've ever taken two magnets and held them like out here, maybe if the magnets were living things, they had eyeballs or whatever, they could see each other. So that, the magnets would be aware of each other. But as they get closer, there's an energy between them. There's a force. You can feel that if you're holding two magnets. You can start to feel that pulling together. Think of that as the know, like, trust factor. So yeah, you're out here and the two magnets are aware, but this is me, okay? I'm this magnet, and this is somebody I want in my world. So I'm doing these things that get them a little bit closer and a little bit closer. As they get closer, that attraction pulls together, right? So if I'm writing a book, I'm out here writing a book, and people are seeing, oh, okay, she has a book, she has a blog, she has a YouTube channel, whatever it is they're doing. They watch or listen to your podcast. If they're seeing these things, that magnetism all of a sudden is going to go right together, and they're in your world. They have that know, like, and trust. They want to work with you. They want to get to the next step. So you have to figure out what that is, that next step, because all those pieces that you just used to bring them in close to you, sometimes people do that, and then people are reaching out to them going, hi, how can I work with you? I want to pay you. And you don't want to do that. You want to say, hey, this is the obvious next step, because no one should have to reach out and be like, do you have programs or something? I don't understand. You want to make sure that you're seeding that in your book. So as you're moving them closer and closer, as you're pulling them towards you with that magnet, you need to have those obvious pieces, that aspiration in there. So let's say that you're a coach and your aspiration is to get people into a mastermind, like a general mastermind. It's kind of a larger group, and you want to have people in there because that then seeds your next offer. So if that's like your small thing that you offer, I'm not going to start throwing out prices, whatever it is you charge for your mastermind. Let's say that your book works to kind of seed that idea and get people interested in the mastermind. Then the obvious thing at the end of that book is, hey, if you're interested in the mastermind, go check out this page, or reach out to me, or join my Facebook group and I will send you a sheet on the mastermind, whatever it is that you want to do. So that's the aspiration, but you have to make it obvious to the audience. Okay? So I'm going to kind of recap. If you have questions, if you want to say hi, go ahead and comment below. But I'm going to go ahead and recap, and then I will come back for questions. If you're watching the the replay. Do a hashtag replay so I can see that you have joined me, and make sure you ask your questions. So the recap, this is the 3 A's for discovering your next book topic. Look at your audience. That's the first A. Your audience is the group of people that you're already talking to, or the group of people that you want to shift into, because you want that book to work for your business. The next A is your arsenal. What do you already have written? What have you already done? Podcasts, videos, articles, any of that kind of stuff, your blog. What do you already have written that's speaking to that audience that really resonates with you still, that you were like, yes, I need to get that out there in a bigger way? That's something to look at too. And the third one is your aspiration. What are you going to do with that book? What are you going to do when you have people in there? Okay, so once you've got those 3 pieces, then start looking at what your book topic could be. And chances are you're going to spot it once you start thinking about those 3 things. But if you don't, if you still have a lot of stuff swimming around in your head, start writing it down and see what fits in with the audience, the arsenal, and the aspiration. What is going to fit that will help you move your business forward? Okay? And it's okay to have a lot of ideas, but start narrowing them down. Think about it. And you don't have to have your topic the second you go, oh, I'm going to write a book. You don't need that. You can say, I want to write a book, and give it a little time. I started working on a book this summer. When I was on vacation in June, I was getting all these ideas because my brain was resting, so of course it was working. So I got all these ideas while I was reading other books, like, well, what would happen if I did this? Or what would this be like to write about? Because I also write fiction. And I started getting these ideas that just kept playing in my head. And finally, after a few weeks, I was like, okay, I think I have a good idea, and I really feel driven to write that. Sometimes that's how people work, is doing that, in the background stuff, and then you go, here it is all together, makes sense now, boom. You hear about people getting ideas in the shower, when they're driving, when they're cooking, when you're doing really mundane activities that don't require a lot of brain work. Those are good times to let your brain spin. So once you have those, the audience, the arsenal, and the aspiration, maybe you'll need a little bit of extra time. Give yourself that grace. If you're working with a coach, of course, that tightens that time up, so you don't need as much time to sit and think. And then, there are some people who like to channel their books too. So if that's for you, look at the audience, arsenal, and aspiration, and bring those pieces together and kind of sink into that. Do your meditation, do, whatever your ritual is that gets you into that space, and just open that up and ask a question. Ask the universe, what is it that I need to write right now? Because you've already done the brain work, so then you just need to do the soul work, right? So I'm not seeing any questions yet, but if you do have questions, if you're watching the replay, make sure you drop them below, and I'm happy to answer them.